transcendent euphoric experiences, or it was you lost it all. You got punched in the face. They took the money and ran. She said she never wanted to see you again. The doctor said, I have bad news. Whatever it is. It took years for those new understandings to take root. They're like seeds. They had to be planted. Think about how many ways that you see the world now. The first time that idea sort of came across your dashboard, you were like, what is that person going on about? And now, how many of you have had this experience? Years later, you're like, oh, that's what they were talking about. Man, at the time, I was just not ready for it. So let's pick a number. Let's pick the last 7 years. Let's pick who you were 7 years ago. And then let's think about how you are right now and how much you've picked up, how much expansion, how much growth, how much maturity, how much more grounded and centered you are. Think about that wealth of experience. Now, let's take all of that unfolded over the past 7 years, and instead of having it unfold over 7 years, let's just have it all come at you at the same time. Let's take the past 15 years of new insights and let's give them all to you at the exact same time. I would melt. My mainframe would just go up in smoke. I was in Portland a couple weeks ago, and Kristen and I were at the Portland Art Museum, and I came across a Van Gogh. I love anything about or by Van Gogh just does something to me. It's not even really a style of painting. It's Van Gogh himself. Irving Stone wrote a biography about Vincent Van Gogh called Lust for Life. I cannot recommend this book enough. I swear I've read it so many times and I've underlined it so many times. It's about a painter, but it's about doing something with your life. I mean, that isn't an adequate explanation. This book means so much to me, and Van Gogh means so much to me. And I literally walked by a Van Gogh, and Kristen was like, you realize you just walked by a Van Gogh. Once again, she's been a step ahead for 24 years. So I stopped and went back and was like, wait, this is like a Van Gogh. I literally stood there for 5 minutes saying to Kristen, look, there's a Van Gogh. Like I could break the law and touch it right now. I'm like 6 inches from an actual Van Gogh. I'm like doing all the stuff morons do in art museums. But I swear to you, I don't know how long on a Sunday morning I stood in front of that Van Gogh. It was almost more than I could bear just to take in that. It's the ox painting, in case you are wondering. The oxen cart. It's like dark. It's almost like got browns in it. It's like heavy but light. Oh, you could just, that painting. Like one painting is all I could take in for that 10, 20, 30 minutes, whatever that was, standing there. Yeah, think about your past 9 years. Think about the biggest things you've learned in the past 13 years. Yeah, if it all came at you at once, it'd be more, it would melt, it would fry your circuits. You'd be a wreck. You'd be a puddle on the floor. So the nature of spiritual experience is you want all the answers. You want it to all be clear. You don't want the wrestling and the struggle and the wondering and the question, the sense of hesitant questioning, the sense of, I don't know where this is going or what to do next or all of this. You don't want that. But what is the other option? That suddenly you've arrived? Yeah, that would sear you to the bone. The way that it works is you are given the next thing that you can bear. You're shown enough. It's like enough to open you up, enough to poke and prod you, enough to disrupt you. It's like you're shown enough to blow your mind or to show you the next step. But you're not shown more because you couldn't handle it. So the you will see my hind parts. It's a profound truth about the nature of spiritual experience, which I think is also interesting because the story earlier is you'll see my goodness. Perhaps the goodness in this story is the divine saying, I'm so good, I'm not going to give you all the answers because if I gave it to you all at once, you couldn't handle it anyway. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it would be too much. I think about the things that have happened. I was profoundly disappointed 3 months ago. Something that, the more I was honest about it, something that I wanted, I was denied. And it was profound disappointment. And I remember in day 1 or 2, I would at least a day in, day 2, day 3, I remember thinking, this is just too hard to carry around. I need to think about this differently. There's something I am being rescued from. This is not something I wanted to happen that didn't happen. This is something that I wanted to happen that if it would have happened later, I'd been like, I wish that wouldn't have happened. And I need to turn this around and say, I've been spared something that I thought I wanted, but if I'd gotten it, I would have realized I didn't want it. So I shifted it. And every time I began to feel that sorrow and disappointment, I would try to run it through that grid. I'm just going to assume that later I'm going to be glad it went this way. But that insight, and then the daily practice of every time I started to feel that disappointment and sadness rising, converting it or taking it in this column and putting it over in this column. Maybe it's like taking it from the right pocket and putting it in the left pocket. Do you know what I mean? Whatever visual helps. But that took significant reflection, meditation, surfing. That took spiritual direction. That took a number of conversations with Kristen and a couple of other people. That took something. So when Moses gets a glimpse, I get that. Man, the most basic lessons often take everything I've got. You know what I mean? I'm forever a rookie. That alone blew my mind. One Van Gogh painting, and I'm not moving for a half hour, just standing there. So this thing that happens where Moses, the best you can do is see where I just was. You could read the story as, what a cruel God who keeps teasing him. You could read the story as, it's like he's just messing with him. Come on, give him the juice. No, that is the juice. That is the mojo. That is the gift. You can have a glimpse. And a glimpse is, that'll keep you plenty busy. I often, especially in Q&As, people will ask questions about, they questions that are basically, I need to get through all this so that I can be at this other place. But what they often demonstrate in the question, this sense of impatience, the sense of I need my life to happen faster, I need to accomplish this more, I need to be at this other place that I'm not, and just tell me how to get there, is oftentimes in the question, I'll notice the person also, there's a question behind the question, which is some pressing matter that has them disrupted, has them disturbed, and you just begin to dance with that a little bit, and quite quickly, I'll find that the person is I'll say something like, seems like that's enough for right now, isn't it? And the person, it's awesome. It's almost every time they'll be like, oh yeah, this is enough. It's you want the whole meal and you're having trouble, getting your fork in the salad. Hold on. The way that it works is probably not big dramatic moments on top of the mountain. Although the story is about a dramatic moment on top of a mountain, even the big dramatic moment on top of a mountain is a glimpse, just enough to reassure Moses, to blow his mind, to calm him. It's basically just the one thing he needs to take the next step. It's probably less big over-the-top dramatic moments and more the day-by-day revealing of the next step to take. Yeah. So that you will see my hind parts becomes an act of grace. I can't show you the whole thing. You couldn't handle it, but we can show you the next thing. Yeah. Especially those of you who are trying to figure out the next 2 years, the next 5 years. I don't think you want to see the next 5 years. I don't even think you want to see the next year. I think those desires we have, we're good modern people. We want the whole thing. We want to kill all the mystery. I don't think you want to see it all. I think it would ruin the joy of it, especially the things that are coming up that are heartbreaking. I think they would overwhelm any goodness that you'd get to see. I don't think you want a vision of the future. I think what you want is enough light to take the next step. That's what you want. Okay, one more. Moses sees and doesn't see, what Moses can and can't bear. Now, the third dimension, third meditation on the nature of spiritual experience. Moses has an experience here, and that's the most straightforward observation possibly. Moses has an experience. Now, the thing about the nature of experience is the moment you analyze an experience and try and name it and figure out what it is, you are no longer in the experience, having the experience, but you are standing outside of the experience. So the nature of our glimpses of the depth, the glory, the kavod, the presence, the goodness, the hind parts. Look at me, I just keep sticking it in somehow. The hind parts. I keep jamming that phrase into every sentence I can. The nature of the most transcendent, joyous, meaningful experiences of life is to remain in them. What your mind wants to do is analyze, understand, or more accurately, stand over the experience. And this is why, for many people, the word religion is a negative word. It doesn't have to be. Is their only encounters were people talking about the experience, analyzing the experience, standing outside of the experience. But that was never the goal. The point, the joy, is in the experience. So the real art to a spiritual vision of life is the discipline. It's almost like a muscle that you're learning to use. To simply let the experiences be the experiences, and to hold off on the impatient rush to figure out what it is and where it fits. It's as if in pinning down the butterfly, once you fully pin down the butterfly, you're able to study all of those intricate designs and patterns on the wings. But the moment you've pinned down the butterfly so that it's still and you can study all of the intricate beauty on the wings is the moment in which the butterfly can no longer fly. So the challenge, the invitation is to keep the butterfly flying. Now here's what I mean. A friend of mine recently tells me that he was at lunch with a spiritual leader in his city. And this spiritual leader, who has a number of people who follow this man, kept saying to my friend, yes, but what side are you on? What camp are you in? And nothing that my friend said he was like a dog who'd bitten into an ankle, you know what I mean? He was like not gonna let go of, I know, but what side are you on? That's a nice story, but which camp are you in? For him, the experience of life had to be broken down. And my friend was saying it was so interesting because this guy, for him, anything that happened had to be immediately named, labeled, and he found it terribly uneasy that my friend didn't have nice, neat, precise categories. Well, are you in this camp or are you in this camp? What camp? What? How are we suddenly camping? And by that, what he meant is it isn't enough to have a profound experience of the love of the divine. You need to also align yourself then with a particular intellectual tradition that names it this, and this, over and against that tradition, which names it that, and that. Now, obviously, being busy naming can be very important. And obviously, when somebody names an experience you've had and they give it language, what a gift that can be. But that naming can also become a way to miss, to avoid, to inhibit your experiences. It's so busy naming that we're missing. It's like so busy trying to figure out whether this is emo or EDM or punk or jazz. Although if you're confused about something being one of those four, we have a problem. It's that thing when people hear some music and the first thing they're doing is trying to tell you what band they think it sounds like. And you're like, wait. The point of listening to this band is not to try and figure out what other bands this band sounds like. The reason why these people made this music is so that you would turn it up and you would hear it. Not just hear it, but hear it. There's this, and when this first began to make more sense to me was the first time, or maybe it was the second or third or fourth time I watched Martin Scorsese's film on Bob Dylan, No Direction Home. Cannot recommend that enough. After you finish Lust for Life, go watch Scorsese's film on Bob Dylan. And there's this one scene where Bob Dylan is in England, and he has recently plugged in and gone electric, which was a huge deal at that time. And he's doing this press conference with British media, and he's like Bob Dylan. You know what I mean? Do I need to say more? And the British press are like very proper. They're all in suits. And they're asking him questions. And the questions are like, when did you stop doing protest songs? And Dylan has these lines, like, I don't know, something like, who said I ever started doing protest songs? Or he's just like, he's having none of it. Why do you think the young people like your music? Something like that. And what's so interesting when you watch it is Dylan is like, he's like atoms in motion. He's this Bob Dylan, not that Bob Dylan. He'll be a different Bob Dylan in a little while. He's just going after the experience. It's like spirit moving through space and time. And then there's this British media that are like desperately trying to place these templates upon the experience of Bob Dylan. Are you this or are you this? Why is this? They're trying to take these very bulky, stilted, fixed understandings and sort of jam him into these things, and it's just not working. Just not working. Yeah. And oftentimes, there's this thing that you just experienced. There's a happening. You just tasted something. And something within you wants desperately to figure out what it is. And part of the path is learning to just let it be what it was. Well, we may name it later. And actually that work, analyzing, we're not against that. It's only a problem when it gets in the way of the experience itself. It's only a problem when you're spending more time stressing about your kid than you are spending enjoying the fact that you even have a kid. It's only a problem when you're spending more time trying to figure out where your kid is headed and are they going to be successful and are they going to represent you well. And that's only a problem when that gets in the way of, I have a kid. We made a human being. When you lose the wonder and awe that you got to be part of this human being coming into the world. Yeah, there's the experience. And then there's all of the analyzing and stressing and trying to categorize. And what you see with Moses here is, oh, you want an experience? Fine. The best you can do is where I just was. In some ways, this is the divine being going, I will never fit in your doctrines. I will never fit within the fixed borders of your comprehension. I will never fit in your systematic theology. I will never fit within the walls of your church or your religion. I will never shrink down to a size in which you can intellectually get your mind around the borders and edges. That's not going to happen. So make peace with the dynamism, with the movement, with the fact that here's what I can give you. I can give you where I just was. You will see my hind parts. Oh, and what have people been doing for thousands and thousands and thousands of years? Trying to jam their experiences of the infinite into these preordained categories that fit what they can, what's safe, and what they can fully comprehend. Oh, yeah, no, as long as we're at it, have you seen Judd Apatow's new documentary? What is this, the recommendation episode? Judd Apatow made a documentary about his beloved friend Gary Shandling, a legend of a comedian. And if you don't know Gary Shandling, I don't even know where to start, other than please go buy the full box set of The Larry Sanders Show, and you'll be like, oh my word, Gary Shandling was years and years ahead of everybody years ago. Anyway, this new documentary on HBO that Judd put together of the life of Gary Shandling, the Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling, it will completely, it's so moving. It's still with me. It just stays with you for weeks on end. But there's this scene where Ricky Gervais, Office extras, that Ricky Gervais comes over to Gary's house to interview Gary, and Ricky wants to get the interview done, and he is amped and he is fired up to be meeting one of his legends, and they're in Gary's kitchen, and Ricky is just like talking a mile a minute, and Gary is just like, you can just see it. It's like, when I saw the scene, it was like the first half of my life and the second half of my life. The first half of your life, you're striving, you're pushing, you're achieving, you got to get things done, you got to fit things, production, efficiency, you got to fit things in order, got to get it all in on the schedule, and then make more and show people that you're on it. And then you have those moments that destroy you, they smash you to pieces, and you come out the other side in the second half of life, which is about the experience. It's like, wait, we're not rushing at all. We're just here. We're here. What a gift. How amazing this is. There's a scene in the kitchen where Ricky is so amped up to do the interview, and he's in the home of his legend, Gary Shandling, and Gary Shandling's like, can we just take a minute? And all Gary Shandling wants to do is bring Ricky Gervais into the present moment. It's not about getting the interview done. It's not about being productive. It's not about capturing something meaningful on film. It's about us. You know what I mean? He's like, you can just see him with his whole being. He just has no time for this impatient, restless, pushing, anxious. It's like he's doing everything he can to just help Ricky be here. Now, on that scene, man, that's a total you will see my hind parts. You will see my hind parts, that scene, because that just captures it all. Yeah. So what happens in the ancient Near East at this time is the gods are very straightforward. What? You're trying to get pregnant? Yeah, go over to the god of making love or product or fertility. The god of making love. Yeah, you're trying to have some babies? Yeah, that god over there. That's the mother goddess. She'll help you, do all that. And what? You need your crops? You're having problems with your crops? Oh, well, go to the grain god. Go to the god of fertility. Go to the god of abundance, crop. Rain god, the sun god. Yeah, that's how it works. And then along comes this new understanding. You can see people wrestling with it. Whoa, wait, what? Trust? Goodness? Something I can't comprehend, but I'm invited to rest in? Well, that's just a new idea. Wait, there's a goodness here? We've been liberated from what we've been enslaved to, and now we're invited to pass that liberation along to others as long as we keep remembering rest, grace, not in our power, but in a trusting reliance on a power greater than ourselves. You can see why these ideas, you can see why these stories, I would argue, are more powerful than ever. These anxieties and fears are still lurking in the human story, and we're still being invited to trust and move beyond them, to transcend them. And Moses is like, what do you like? What do you like? What do you like? And this new depth of being, this new divine, this new understanding emerges, like goodness, glory. In fact, here, hang out. Just hang out right there in the cleft of the rock. And the glory will pass by. And then you can see where it just was. you will see my hind parts. Oh, yeah. Seriously, raise your glasses. Double fist on this one. So good. Yeah. Yeah. And that, my friends, is a few thoughts. That's a meditation on the nature of spiritual experience. May you, my brothers and sisters, my Robcast brothers and sisters, may you make peace with the polarity, the paradox at the heart of it all, the known and the unknown, the questions and the answers, the revealed and the hidden, the glimpse and that which is unglimpsed, that which you see and that which you can't see. May you make peace with this truth at the heart of the experience of what it means to be human. May you have great patience, remembering that the goodness of the divine reveals to you what you can bear. So let today's lesson, let today's truth, let whatever this teacher is that's been brought to you today, whoever, whatever it is, may you have the patience to just let spirit go to work on your insides with this. And then tomorrow might be something else, might be more of this. That's how it works. It unfolds like that, bit by bit. The mercy, the grace of it is that you're given what you can bear. And then when you find yourself trying to pin down the butterfly, may you not stick another pin in. But may you remember that the miracle, the mystery, the joy is the flight. The juice, the mojo, the point is the experience. And if the analyzing and explaining helps, wonderful. I mean, obviously that's what's gone on in this podcast. And yet, may you be slower to analyze because the experience is just that deep and rich and sustaining. And may grace and peace be with you. This is your friend Rob signing off on the 200th episode of the Robcast.